suppose a bit of a cliche saying, you know, find a job you're passionate about, you'll never have to work a day in your life, and it couldn't be more true for me. Oh my goodness, you wait till you turn this corner, boys. This is insane. I didn't expect this for a second. Yeah, to me, a four-wheel drive is a lot more than just a means to get from A to B. It's a whole lifestyle. From a young age, I got into four-wheel driving. I was a passionate fisherman, I was passionate about camping and just getting as far away from civilization as possible, and the only way you can do that really is in a four-wheel drive. I've simply never owned a two-wheel drive vehicle in my life. It's always been four-wheel drive. A conventional car just simply wouldn't cut it for me. I would never even consider owning one because you can't take it on the beach, you can't drive outback roads with it, and you can't get to that campsite that I love from Cape York, you know. For me, these vehicles allow access to my adventures. I have a bond with all my vehicles and know their limitations. I like to push them, and I believe I know that fine line before I've put it on its side before, so I know that was a bit too much that time. But I think I have a switch inside my head that basically when I see a hard bit of track, I just think how I can conquer it. Nothing else comes into my mind, and I just go for it.
That's slippery.
You know, all common sense sometimes goes out the window, and I try and look at the rocks, I look at the mud, I look at just trying to find a line that I can take the vehicle up and through. And I know the capabilities of my vehicle. It sometimes surprises the heck out of me, but I always try and just push it that little bit harder.
Big rocks.
First four-wheel drive I ever owned was a Suzuki Sierra, 92 model. It was a little wide-tracked version, soft top. It was probably the cheapest four-wheel drive I could get into at the time. I got it when I was about 17. I soon realised that a stock standard vehicle couldn't get me to the places that I wanted to go, so there came the need to modify. And I learned a lot about cars, and it really started my passion for four-wheel drive. The Dirty 30 especially is just a wild vehicle to drive. It lifts wheels, it spits mud and rocks. It's an absolute animal on the tracks, and you really need to sort of tame that. So you've got to drive it, both hands on the steering wheel, a lot of concentration, and not have any fear at all. I bought the Dirty 30, which was a stock standard 60 series, a HJ61, the factory turbo diesel, about 10 years ago, and stock standard wagon. In fact, an old bloke owned it, and when he sold it to me, he sort of was a bit reluctant to hand the keys over to me, and he looked me up and down and sort of said, "You're not one of those blokes who's gonna, jack it up and put those big tyres on it, are you?" And I sort of said, "No, mate, no." And 2 years later, it's now a ute, and it's called the Dirty 30, half a 60, that's always dirty. I've got a 2-inch suspension lift, a 2-inch body lift, 35-inch tyres. I've got a front mount intercooler, custom turbo, snorkel, twin locked. It's got a custom built tray and canopy, 4 batteries. It's got chromoly CVs and axles. Pretty much every part of the vehicle's been modified except for the windscreen wipers. The beauty about the Dirty 30 is that it's an old, reliable vehicle. It's a tractor at the end of the day. You can't kill it. Last year I had 3 wheels come off, separate occasions. One in the old telly track up in Cape York where I was doing about 10 k's an hour and a wheel just fell off. Had another one in the Daintree, just came off at speed, and it wasn't funny because it scared the heck out of me, but I remember having enough time to jump on the UHF, and Graham, who was behind me, I said to him, mate, can you just keep an eye on that wheel because it's overtaking my vehicle right now. Well, I've got to steer this thing off the road, and I did. We fixed it. We carry so many spare parts in these vehicles. You know what breaks, you know what lets go, you know what can go wrong, so you sort of pack accordingly. Yeah, well, I suppose nowadays I've enough experience in four-wheel drive. I know what works, what doesn't work. I suppose with that 80 series in particular, we built that car from a stock standard vehicle. I had enough mates in the industry have helped me out, fabricators, people who are gurus at 12 volt. And then there's me, of course, who likes to tinker with a few spanners here and there. And we've built this car, and it's an absolute beast. And it'll go anywhere in Australia and drive any of the toughest tracks in the country. I have the 30, which is the one that you send down first down a track. The 80 is just an animal that will drive all the hard tracks in Australia, and the 79 is the one that I just want to keep straight. It's the touring rig. It'll take me to the campsites, and that's what I built it for. I want to keep it that way. It's not supposed to go down the hard tracks. It can, but I choose to try and treat it a bit easier than the other two. To be honest, you don't need a lot of mods to get you off-road. I mean, never let the fact that you don't have everything that opens and shuts on your four-wheel drive stop you from getting out to these great places. I think when you get any four-wheel drive and you want to take it, you know, touring to amazing remote campsites around the country and to drive hard tracks, rather than to throw an open checkbook at a vehicle, you need to spend a bit of time with it, get to know the vehicle and see where you can spend your money wisely and make the vehicle work better. You know, one of the best mods you can make to any four-wheel drive is a tank full of diesel. The tank full of diesel will get you places. But of course, if you want to go a bit further, you know, look at suspension and tyres. You know, make sure your vehicle is mechanically sound. It's one thing to get to these amazing places, but you've got to get home again. You've got to have total confidence in your vehicle that it's going to get you back. There's some places you simply can't get a tow truck, so you're on your own. You need to be able to get back in your own steam. You know, for me, owning a four-wheel drive means I can get to places that others only dream of. You know, as soon as I lock those hubs on the front, I've got an adventure machine that I can get away from civilization. I can get onto a beach and drive down to one of the most remote ends of that beach and have the whole beach to myself. For me, that's the most important thing in life, is having a vehicle that will allow me to get to these places. I live and breathe adventure. It's more than a lifestyle, it's an absolute way of life. That's what it's all about.